Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sporting Perspective. It is week 2 of the NFL season. Week 1 was as good as you can get. And I'm not going to waste any time, James. I know there is a lot to talk about, a lot of things that we're going to go back and forth on. Let's just recap week 1 as quickly as we can, because there's a lot of storylines that came out of week 1.
Yeah, interrupt me if you want to say anything. Um, but yeah, yeah, week one got started off on an interesting note. We had a spitting incident in the Dallas Philly game, just right off the bat, right after the kickoff. We have an injury on the field. Both teams are out there, and Jalen Carter thinks it's a good idea to spit on Dak Prescott. And obviously, after the game, we come to find out that Dak spit over one of his offensive linemen. Probably, from what I saw the video, it didn't look like he was spitting at Jalen Carter, but obviously Jalen Carter took offense. Dak came out and said, "I wasn't. Why would I spit at you?" And then Jalen Carter spit on him and got tossed from the game. Uh, Luckily, I will say this: there was no punches thrown. There was no like violent acts. I mean, that's super nasty and like gross. But I'm really happy the NFL only fined him and didn't like suspend him for any upcoming games. I mean, it's like one of those like slap on the wrist. It's like yeah, fine the guy. That's fine. Like, don't do that again.
Well, he technically got a 1 game suspension.
Well, that's true. Yeah, he
Technically,
got
he
kicked
technically
out of that
he
game. So
literally
that's
didn't
true.
even play a play. So technically, he got a 1 game suspension. Technically,
Yeah, that was
so
gross. Anyways, so that's how we started off the week. That was pretty interesting. But I'll start with Dallas, I guess, first. So I thought they actually looked pretty competent. Shockingly, because I don't think anyone thought they were going to be that competitive. But combined CD Lamb's drops, Philly's rushing attack, um, basically just boiled down to being the same old for the Cowboys. Close, but just not close enough. We had the Friday game down in Sao Paulo. I thought it was a really good game, and I hope the Brazilian fans loved it too. We saw Justin Herbert going toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes, and obviously, as you all saw, Herbert won that duel. Um, I thought Herbert was great, and Charger fans should be absolutely ecstatic for the Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert led Charger team. So, yeah, that's the kind of game that makes you sit up and think. And I know we talked about this in the preview episode, but yeah, the AFC West might not be a one-man show anymore with the Chiefs. Um, we had Daniel Jones, or should I say, for the nth time I've said this, Indiana Jones. He's officially landed with the Colts, and just going off of. I don't want to overreact to Week One, but if that's kind of what he's gonna do, lead seven drives and get 7 scores off of 7 drives in a row, something Peyton Manning never even done. I think I saw on Twitter. Um, then yeah, that's gonna be pretty fun to watch in Indy, and it looks like they made the right decision by starting him over Anthony Richardson.
and let me just add one thing to that really quickly. Miami might actually be a dumpster fire this season. Tua does not look good. He is easily now becoming the 5th best quarterback in his draft class, and I don't think there's much of a debate about that anymore. And now we also hear that Tyreek Hill is facing a domestic violence charge.
Yeah,
So,
more.
yeah, so this Miami season could be a complete disaster, but we'll move forward.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel's might not have a job too far
No,
into the season, depending how the win-loss record goes.
yeah.
Um, Speaking of other debuts, we had Aaron Rodgers making his Steelers debut, and he looked sharp for a 41-year-old. I mean, he looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers. I don't want that to be outdone though by the Jets and Justin Fields. I thought Justin Fields also looked great, and it's kind of funny that both those guys just kind of swapped teams. Um, but just like what I said about Dallas earlier, the problem with the Jets is that they're still the Jets. And we all know how that usually ends. I wanted to throw the Jaguars out there. I actually thought they looked pretty good. We actually saw our first trade of the season. They traded Tank Bigsby to Philly for 2 late round picks, basically just to shore up a solid backup to Saquon. Um, but yeah, I thought the Jaguars looked good. Sure, it was against the Panthers, but I think Trevor Lawrence has some real weapons in ETN, Tootin, the backup running back, if he starts getting a little more time, and then Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas. Um, so just wanted to keep an eye on Jacksonville. Like I said, it was against the Panthers, so we'll see how they are, this next week against the Bengals. And speaking of weapons, I wanted to throw out Emeka Egbuka and his performance. 2 touchdowns in his NFL debut. And with his second one, bailing the Bucks out against the Dirty Birds down in Atlanta. Um, but that's not a bad way to introduce yourself to the team and basically have not necessarily a walk-off win, but you're the reason that you won that game. I guess credit to Baker too. Baker has to make the throws. On the flip side, the Lions might be in trouble. Again, it's only been 1 week. I don't want to overreact, but Ben Johnson gone, Aaron Glenn gone, and Detroit fans feel like the magic might be wearing off. The Lions looked just really bad. I don't want to discredit also, though, the Packers. That defense was swarming, and Micah Parsons just being on the team. I mean, he was getting double teamed most times he was out there, which just frees up the other defensive end and other tackles and linebackers when they're on blitz schemes to just go in and just rock the quarterback. So a little bit of the Lions not looking good. Let's see if they can rebound. But the Packers also just looked really, really good. We had Bills versus Ravens, and I guess wow is really the only thing I can say. We might have already seen the game of the year in Week 1. Yeah, that was basically everything you could ask for in the Sunday night matchup. And again, I don't know if it was a Ravens collapse, because it is something that we seem to always see. The Ravens always seem to get themselves into these types of situations where they're winning, and then they blow leads. And Josh Allen is also just a guy who obviously loves playing from behind, and he's just an absolute monster. Yeah, that was just a super fun game. Ton of future Hall of Famers in that game with Lamar, Henry, Josh Allen, maybe DeAndre Hopkins. Before I get to the Monday night game, I just wanted to give maybe not a shout out, it's more of a negative shout out, but the Saints, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Panthers, just flat out awful. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Those teams don't look good. If there is to be a team that could right their ship, I would say maybe the Giants, depending when they give the keys to Jackson Dart. And by righting the ship, I'm not looking at wins and losses. I'm just looking at okay, now you have Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors. Those are 2 good pieces for the future. Maybe that's something that could entice Giants fans. The Panthers, I know we had talked about maybe potentially being a little better. Maybe they will. We'll see. They just didn't look good at all, and that's really all I have to say. They just didn't look good. And then there's J.J. McCarthy, his Vikings, in that Monday Night Football comeback. Talk about a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde performance. I mean, he was an absolute dud in the first half. And actually, you could say that about Caleb Williams, too. They kind of switched spots. Caleb Williams came out and looked great in his first 10 plays of the game. He started 10 for 10. And typically those plays are always scripted. So take that how you will. Second half, Caleb Williams looked awful. Second half, I'll say fourth quarter, J.J. McCarthy finally, turned it on and made that crazy comeback a reality. So whether a lot of that's on J.J. McCarthy whether a lot of that's on Kevin O'Connell, who I think is a great quarterback whisperer, and what he's done with Cousins and Sam Darnold. Vikings might actually have something. So yeah, those are my notes. That's week
Yep.
one in the books. Buckle up. NFL's back.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just add on to the Bears thing. It's going to be interesting to see how this season plays out because, you know, the question now is going to be because there was a lot of fundamental mistakes made by Ben Johnson in his opening day head coaching debut. It's going to be interesting to see um, what happens here in this upcoming season because it just wasn't a great start. And then the other one that's really becoming an interesting concern is we know Caleb Williams is talented, but he's still making a lot of mistakes that we saw at USC. And the question is, how coachable is this guy? Um, this may not be a great marriage.
Yeah, I mean, some guys are better suited as offensive coordinators. The first one I can think of is McDaniels. He was given opportunities as a head coach, which never quite worked out. Ben Johnson, I guess we'll see. It's been one
It's
game,
it's it's
but
it's
it didn't look good.
it's one game, but like the other one, the one of the ones that kind of came to my mind overnight was like this kind of has that feeling of like Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, where it's like Cliff was a great offensive coordinator, doing great things in Washington and everything like that. But like those two just like kind of always butted heads and just kind of saw things differently for 3 years. And it doesn't seem like either of these two guys improvise very well. They're good on a script, but the
Yep.
moment things kind of jailbreak, they kind of fall apart. So I don't know,
Yeah,
just something I kind of noted.
something to
So,
yeah, something to watch moving forward. I mean, it'll be
yeah,
interesting what we talk about next week if the Bears just
yeah.
dominate or they look bad again. It's like, oh, this is an issue.
All right, well, let's move over to week two. We got 16 games in rapid fire here, so we'll just start off with the game tonight, Thursday night football. Those Washington Commanders taking on the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. Who do you got?
Yeah, it's always hard this early in the season to make picks because you still want to see what teams are. I'm taking the Packers at home. Lambeau's a tough place to play. I know it's not cold yet, but it's still Lambeau Field. Packers looked great offensively and defensively. Um, they have a lot of banged up players on offense, but they also just have like 500 receivers. So
Yeah,
someone will emerge and do something. I'm taking the Packers at home.
I second pretty much everything that you just said. I'm going to take the Packers as well. Not much to add there. Let's move on to Sunday morning. Jacksonville heading to Cincinnati.
I am taking the Bengals. Uh, they didn't look good, and they probably should have lost to the Browns. But I think they finally kick it into gear. I mean, Higgins didn't have a good game. Jamar Chase didn't have a good game. With that, obviously, Joe Burrows didn't have a good game. I think they rebound and turned it on offensively. So, I know I gave a shout out to the Jaguars. I think they are a team to watch. I don't think they're on the Bengals level quite yet. So, Bengals.
I'm actually going to take the Jags. Bengals did not play well in the opening week, and this is just an ongoing trend that's been happening for the last few years in Cincinnati. They suck in September, so I am going to stick with the Jags. I know they beat Carolina, who's not great, but that offense looked better than Cincinnati's offense. I mean, Joe Burrow, I think, only amounted to like 130 passing yards total. It was kind of like a thank God we're playing the Browns, who don't know what the hell they're doing. Um, I'm going to take the Jags. I think they win one here, and yeah, if you want to play Cincinnati, play them in September because they seem to just not get going in September. So, interesting divisional matchup here. The New York Giants heading to Dallas.
I'm taking the Cowboys at home. They showed enough that, like, they could have won that game against the Eagles that CeeDee Lamb made a couple of those catches. I know that last diving one was a little bit more difficult than the earlier drop that he had on that same drive, but it was still catchable. And a lot of analysts were like, "Dude, you get paid to catch balls. I get you the layout for it, but it was right in your hands." Yeah, I think I saw enough with the Cowboys that they should be able to beat Russell Wilson and the Giants at home.
Yeah, this is nearly my pick of the week. That tells you something. I'm going to take Dallas. The Giants offensively just don't look good at all. And I know Russell Wilson's going to be the starter this week. We'll see how it goes, but let's take Dallas. Battle of the 0 and 1s here. Chicago going to Detroit. Detroit's home opener. Who do you got here?
Again, I'm taking the Lions. Again, my only reasoning because they're at home. Both teams didn't show me anything. The Lions just have a couple more guys, I think, than the Bears. So I'm just taking the Lions mainly because they're at home.
Yep, I got the Lions as well. I think they got a little bit more to prove here because they have a little bit more expectation than the Bears at this point. I feel like there'll be a lot more panic from an 0 and 2 Lions team and an 0 and 2 Bears team at this point. New coach, things like that. I think the Lions have to come out and show something compared to what they did last week in Green Bay. So Lions is what I'm taking. Rams going to Tennessee.
Cam Ward showed something, but I wouldn't say it was something good. He was better actually than a lot of the players on the Titans team.
Yeah.
He looked good. He holds the ball a little too long. I didn't like that he took quite a bit of sacks. But one thing I will say, and one thing I was telling Ashley when we were watching Red Zone, is sometimes you can't always see what's going on downfield. So, Ashley's like, "What the hell? Why is he not throwing the ball?" And it's like, well, if you don't have a receiver open, you can't just throw the ball. And we don't always get to see that as fans watching TV. So I think Cam Ward is going to be the starter in Tennessee for a long time. It just is going to take them a little while to, kind of rebuild. The Rams offensively, honestly, didn't really look that good either, but I'm just taking the Rams on the road just because it is a rookie quarterback. Matthew Stafford's a veteran, and the Rams defense did look good.
Yeah, I see this being a pretty ugly defensive affair. I think the Rams win, but this could be an upset. Cam Ward playing in his home opener. I feel like there'll be a little bit of buzz in Nashville. The Rams really struggled to move the ball last week against Houston. I get Houston's got a good defense, but I'll take the Rams, kind of a safe pick more than anything else. But this game should be close because I just don't see anyone scoring over 17 points. So could be ugly defense. This is an interesting one. New England heading to Miami.
Yeah, battle of the crap teams. I guess I'm going to take the Dolphins just because they have Tyreek. I don't think he'll be suspended at this point yet. Now that it's just an ongoing investigation, he'll be fine to play. Waddle, if he can stay on the field. It's like week 1, the guy got touched incorrectly and he was like walking to the sidelines. I don't know what the deal is with him. Obviously, the big thing you mentioned earlier, Tua did not look good at all. I'm literally just taking the Dolphins based on that they have bigger names than anyone on the New England Patriots. And honestly, the Patriots didn't look good either. Drake May.
Drake May, yep.
Why does that sound weird? I guess his name is Drake May. He looked terrible. So I'm just taking the Dolphins because they're at home and they have bigger home run hitters. A-Chain had a decent game, so yeah, the Patriots showed me nothing to have any chance to win this game. But the Dolphins also look really bad, so I'm just taking the Dolphins.
I'm taking New England. I mean, it's really bad when you have a team week 1 in Miami that looks like they've already quit on their head coach. That's a horrible start. And I actually give some credit to the Raiders kind of playing well against New England. I do think Indianapolis played well against Miami. Don't get me wrong there, but at least I feel like there was a good scheme going in from Vegas, and New England just kind of got outmatched. I think New England wins this game. I don't have any faith in Miami at all at this point. So, yeah. I don't have much else to add. It's a bad game. We'll see what both those teams have to show for the rest of the season. It's horrible to say that week too. Um, Next game, San Francisco heading to New Orleans. San Francisco really banged up. Kittle's now on the IR. Purdy may not play. This seemed like a no-brainer, a week ago, but now it has a little bit more interest. New Orleans actually played fairly well against Arizona too.
I'm still taking the Niners. I think even if Mac Jones plays, I saw enough out of Christian McCaffrey that he, thank God for our fantasy team, isn't hurt yet or now. But even if Mac Jones has to play and hand off to McCaffrey or toss it to him out of the backfield a couple times, I think they'll be fine. They also brought in Brian Robinson, and I thought he was actually pretty good with the 10 carries he had. So it looks like they made that trade for a reason. They don't want to just completely kill McCaffrey. So,
Yep.
yeah, if you can't tell, the key for me is McCaffrey. So I think regardless if Purdy plays or not, the Saints are just bad. Rattler was really bad. Um, yeah, the Cardinals, they covered, but I wouldn't say it was a great win for the Cardinals and how they beat the Saints. So, anyways, I'm taking the Niners.
Yeah, not much to add. I'm going to take the Niners as well. I think a lot of McCaffrey gets used in that game, like you said. This was a more interesting game than we would have thought. Buffalo heading over to take the Jets.
Yeah, this could be another high scoring affair. Bills defense doesn't really look that good. I'm taking the Bills based off the vibes that they're coming off of from Sunday night, and it's Josh Allen versus Justin Fields. I mean, you gotta lean to Josh Allen. Um, the Jets are better, and I think the Jets can make a little bit of noise. Whether that leads to wins or not, I'm not sure, but I don't think they're winning this week, so I'm taking the Bills.
I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. Bills win it. Jets, I feel like they're feeling good about Fields, though. I think they score a lot of points. They just got to figure out that defense, which I think will happen over time with Aaron Glenn being their head coach now. But Buffalo wins this one and continues to show their winning ways. Seattle heading to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, West Coast teams generally don't get off to too hot of starts when they have to travel east. As Cardinals fans, we know that all too well whenever they have to go play East Coast teams. And like I said earlier, Aaron Rodgers looked great. I don't know if he's throwing for 4 touchdowns again, but Steelers look good. And it's an offense we haven't seen out of the Steelers probably since like Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, I can't even think of the last time the Steelers have had a quarterback who's looked that good
Yep.
offensively. So defense was a little sketchy. They need to get that shorn up, but I'm taking the Steelers at home.
Yep, taking the Steelers at home. Not too much to add outside of what you already said. Their pickups, though, did a good job of really contributing in that Jets game. McCaffrey showed himself. Uh, Johnny Smith showed himself as a tight end, and oh my God, corner 5. I just forgot his name. Jalen Ramsey made that big hit to win the game against Garrett Wilson. So nice pickup. Something Pittsburgh usually doesn't do is pick up, spend money, things like that in the offseason. And it seems like through week 1, it went well. And of course, Aaron Rodgers. Pittsburgh is who I'm taking here. In the largest spread of the weekend, Cleveland gets the unfortunate case of going to Baltimore after Baltimore lost that heartbreaker on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail. The Ravens are winning this game. Cleveland's still Cleveland. Baltimore's the best 0-1 team in football right now. It's going to be the
Yeah,
Lamar and Derrick Henry show again.
yeah. Baltimore wins this one. Not much need to be said there. Small afternoon slate, just 3 games. First of the bunch is the Manning Bowl. Denver heading to Indianapolis.
I'm taking the Colts at home. The Broncos just didn't do enough to show me why I should pick them. And if Daniel Jones can run for 2 touchdowns and look competent throwing the ball, yeah, I'm taking the Colts. Tyler Warren also had a really good game too. So
Yep.
that looks like a pretty good draft pick for Indianapolis. But I'm taking the Colts. Their defense actually looks pretty good as well.
I feel the same way. I kind of want to see if that was a fluke or not. Denver didn't really look that great. Granted, it's tough to tell if Tennessee's defense is actually good, but Denver's offense overall was not very good. I'm going to take the Colts. They're at home. Why not? Denver favored by 2.5 at this point, but I'll take the Colts. Carolina heading to Arizona. This is Arizona's home opener.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cardinals. Panthers just didn't show me anything. It will be a fun matchup if Will Johnson um, has to cover McMillan. I thought Will Johnson actually had a really good NFL debut. He held Olave to like 30 yards receiving. Um, yeah, that Cardinals defense actually looks, you know, pretty put together. Buda Baker had like 10 tackles and basically a game-saving punch away from Jawan Johnson in the end zone, which would have tied the game up with an PAT. So yeah, I think the Cardinals will be fired up at home. And if the reports were true that Kyler Murray was a little under the weather, uh, he might actually come out and actually throw more than 4 balls past 5 yards.
Yeah. I'm going to take Arizona as well. A lot of what you already said. Carolina just didn't look very good. I think Arizona is always a tough place to play at the beginning part of the season. It's hot out. A lot of fans here. It's going to be loud. All right. Super Bowl from last year rematch. Kansas City taking on Philadelphia. Who you got in the Super Bowl rematch?
I'm taking the Eagles. I think that they didn't quite get out to a start they wanted to. They won the game, but they didn't really dominate like how they probably thought they should have. AJ Brown was non-existent. Devontae Smith didn't have a great game. It was basically just a rushing attack of Jalen Hurts and Saquon. And honestly, the Chiefs didn't do enough for me down in Sao Paulo to show me that they're really that tough anymore. I think the reign of Mahomes and Kelsey might be coming to an end. I think they're still competent. Like, they're not a bad team, but they're not the dominant Chiefs that they used to be. So I'm taking the Eagles on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles as well. Kansas City looked a little bit older. Philly really didn't have to do as much as you would think. Really didn't have to show much of a passing attack against the Cowboys. I see a little bit more of that happening here in Kansas City. It's shocking to say Kansas City could start 0-2, but I see it as a very realistic possibility. I'm going to take Philly. Let's move over to Sunday Night Football. Atlanta heading down to Minnesota. JJ McCarthy looked pretty good, as he said earlier. This will be his home opener, or his first game starting first game he's starting for the first time at home. There we go.
There you go. I'm taking the Vikings. Ashley and I went to a preseason game this year, and for being a preseason game, the fans were absolutely insane. That place gets so loud. Um, so I think Vikings fans are going to be fired up. Like you said, it's Sunday Night Football. JJ McCarthy's first start at home in the regular season. Uh, and yeah, the Falcons also just another team that I know again it's been 1 week, but they just didn't show me a whole lot. And the Vikings second half did show me a lot, and I saw the moxie that JJ McCarthy has, and he really just took over that fourth quarter to make a comeback against the Bears. So I'm taking the Vikings at home.
Yeah, taking the Vikings at home. I think this is going to be a very close game, though. I think both teams will show quite a bit. I like Michael. I like Penix how he played against Tampa Bay, but playing in Minnesota is very tough. So I'm going to give the edge to the Vikings. Two Monday night games this week, starting off Tampa Bay, heading to Houston.
I'm taking the Bucks on the road. The story of this little pick'em. Texans just did not show me enough. Stroud was inconsistent. They didn't really have much of a run game. Their defense played well. The Rams just made a few more plays, but yeah, the Texans. Hopefully, the rails don't fall off too quickly. In my opinion, if they want to get back on track, get Nico the ball. They need to get Nico Collins going if they want to rebound a bit. But the Bucks look good. Ibuka
Yeah.
look good. Evans looks good. I think the Bucks will win this.
I pretty much back what you're saying. I think Tampa Bay. I know how Tampa Bay is going to score. I don't know how Houston's going to score. It's a big problem. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay. Chargers going on and taking on the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think this game's actually going to be pretty good. Divisional matchups are always fun. The Raiders, as we've talked about in past episodes, are just completely revamped. New running back, new quarterback, new head coach, a couple new receivers, minus Jacoby Myers. Honestly, I'm taking the Chargers on the road because I don't know if Brock Bowers is going to play, and if he doesn't play, that's a huge weapon
It,
for Geno Smith not to have. Genty's it's going to be his second start in the NFL. He's not quite there yet. And the Chargers look good. The Chargers looked really good. Hampton looks like could be a dude down the road. And Justin Herbert showed a lot to me. So he's vaulting himself back up into that, top 12, top 10 quarterback in the NFL conversation. So, yeah, taking Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
I'm thinking the Chargers as well. But both these teams are definitely on the upside. I think the Raiders are the Chargers are pretty much there as a playoff team. The Raiders are growing towards a playoff team. Um, they're just a little young. They're going to have some growing pains throughout the season. I think this might be one of those games where they have those growing pains. I'll take the Chargers. But Raiders looked really good in week one. So not much negative to say there. Um, well, let's do a top five. You ready for it?
Let's do it.
All right. So this week's top five is if you were starting a franchise today, who would be the quarterback you're choosing to lead your franchise? Of course, they're the age they are right now. So guys like Aaron Rodgers bring not much value. So keep that into consideration. But let's start with your number five.
So, my number five, I'm taking Jaden Daniels. Um, Offensive Rookie of the Year for a reason. He's only 24 years old. Sky's the limit for him. Uh, yeah, I just think, the best is yet to come for him. He's only going to get better. He's not even in his prime. He can throw, he can run, he can kind of do it all. He fits the mold of what a quarterback is that excels in the NFL right now, and I think he's the best young quarterback we have in the game currently.
I wonder how much of our top five is going to be the same because that was also my number five for a lot of the same reasons. Very young, great, already sent his team to the conference championship last season. Sky's the limit with this dude as long as he doesn't get hurt. But yeah, that's my number five. Who do you got it for?
Now let's see how close we are. My number
Yeah,
four is Justin Herbert. Are we
damn it.
different?
I have
Uh,
it four too.
all right. Well, we can kind of go back and forth.
Yeah,
I like Herbert. He's still relatively young at 27, just kind of entering his prime. Um, he's a physical freak when it comes to like arm throwing ability. I mean, he can. I don't know. I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know who has a better arm than him in the NFL. I mean,
yeah,
if you wanted to just go stand on the goal line and say Justin Herbert, throw the ball.
yeah.
Uh, he can toss it. It's funny because one of his big issues coming out of college, I remember at Oregon, was accuracy, which was the same like Josh Allen, and we've seen how Josh Allen's turned out. Well, Herbert looks pretty good, so I'll kick it over to you to say some things about Herbert. But
I mean,
yeah, I think a mix of arm strength and youth. He can also run a little bit too, so yeah, I'd take Herbert.
yeah, he's a good athlete. I mean, he's thrown more yards than any other quarterback through through 4 seasons, which is incredible. And for the most part, you can really make an argument that outside of Keenan Allen, he really hasn't had a fantastic wide receiver. Thad McConkey's now kind of showing himself as he's growing into an elite receiver. But he hasn't had deep wide receiver cores as the time he's kind of created wide receivers more than anything else. Um, I think he's just getting started and could be one of those guys that picks up a Super Bowl here, later in his career. He's only been in the league for 5 years. That's the other thing that's crazy about it. Still super young, and now dating Madison Beer. That's not going to hurt at all. So, in my opinion, it's only a good thing. Do you want to go with your number three, or should I go with my number three?
You go first.
Okay, I have Lamar Jackson.
I have Lamar Jackson at 3.
Yeah, okay. So so the reason I have him at three instead of one or two, the only knock I have on this guy at this point is the fear of injury. Because he runs around a lot and the speed may start declining, but who knows? He is a physical freak and he can do everything. He can make every pass. He's been in the league now 8 years. The only other thing that's a knock on this guy at this point is he hasn't proved it in the playoffs, and that's why I have the two guys ahead of him that I do. But everything else with Lamar, two-time MVP, he can make every throw, very smart between the ears. Yeah,
Yeah, basically everything you said. The big thing why I put him at 3 is just because, like you said, once he starts slowing down from like a athletic standpoint and a running ability, I want to actually see how well of a passer he really is. And no knock on him, he's improved a ton since he came out of Louisville. But if he has to turn into like a drop back in the pocket type quarterback, I mean that takes away half of his game, and that's not the player he's supposed to be. So, but he has improved
well,
a lot. I would say he can make the throws when he does need to make the throws.
I'm pretty sure I know who your one and two is going to be at this point. Just you want to go with your one and two?
I'll go with my 1 and 2. So, or I'll just go 2 and 1. So my number 2
Okay.
is Burrow,
Oh, okay.
and
I
my
don't
number
have
one
Burrow.
is. Oh, really? Okay. So my
Yeah.
number. Okay. Well then, all right. My number 2 is
Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Um, still relatively, still relatively young. He's 28. Um, yeah, he fits the prototypical quarterback mold. I mean, he can run if he needs to. He's a lot faster than you think. He had a couple breakaway runs last year where you're like, whoa, I didn't know he could do that. Um, it does help that he has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but I think overall, like, I still think he's an unbelievable quarterback. And um, yeah, I think didn't he win Offensive Player of the Year last
Yeah,
year? I want to
I
say.
think you did. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm going Burrow at 2. I think just from a pure passing standpoint, if he does have to turn into a pocket passer only, he can handle that. So I have
Yeah.
Burrow at 2.
Okay, so I have Josh Allen at two. And Josh Allen can make every single throw. He can make any comeback happen. The only thing with him is just hasn't won the big game yet, but he is as good as they come. Future Hall of Famer. We saw what he did on Sunday night. Big dude. Hasn't been hurt, I don't think, his whole career. But has turned a franchise that was a dumpster fire. Like, people forget how bad Buffalo was for so long before he came in, and now he just runs the division. And, eventually I think he will take the Bills to the promised land, and he's done it without really crazy big names. I mean, Stephon Diggs is a big name, but outside of that, wide receiver core hasn't been filled with superstars. He's done it. He's created superstars around him. Great leader, and yeah, Josh Allen would be my number two.
So Josh Allen's my number 1. I
Yeah,
just love his style of football. He's so physical. His talk about a guy who's really turned his throwing motion around. If you watch Sunday Night Football, they went in on how he used to throw at Wyoming to how he throws now. And then if you watch Hard Knocks, they went in on like analytics of what they did to change his throwing motion, stuff like that. So um, yeah, he just kind of I feel like he's the best quarterback in the NFL as we speak, and he's still under 30. So yeah, like you said, he
yeah,
hasn't had any injuries. If I'm starting a franchise today, I want him to be,
yeah.
my starting quarterback. So I think I know who your number 1 is. Let me take a guess. Is it Mahomes?
I went with Mahomes. I went with Mahomes at one, and the reason I went with Mahomes at one is the dude has run the AFC for 7 years, 3 Super Bowls already underneath his belt, probably going to still play for another 10 years. And there is a chance with this dude that the best is still to come. He's got kind of that Tom Brady arc going on right now, where the first arc we're kind of in the middle, and the second arc's going to come, and he's going to get all these great receivers. I think are going to come. He does a great job of staying healthy. He may not be as mobile here in these last 10 years, but what he's done in the first 10 years, the leader that he is, and some of these ridiculous throws that he makes. Like he had the one on Friday night where he's still throwing from the sideways, and it's just like, how the hell are you even doing this? And he's, Hollywood Brown is someone, he's a good receiver. I mean, he's getting him, 10 catches, 100 yards. He turns average guys into great players. And it's one of those things that even at the beginning part of his Kansas City run, it's not like outside of Travis Kelce, he hasn't been blessed with like elite receivers, but he's been given like Juju Smith-Schusters, guys like that are good pros and turned them into very good role players that fit the system really well. And then on top of it, he has become a much better reader of the defense. Those first few years, it was just kind of pure talent. Now he's able to pick apart, doesn't turn the ball over much. He knows how to win, and that's a big part of the game.
If I had a sixth, I guess I'd probably throw him at 6 behind Jaden Daniels. And it's not that I
Yes.
forgot about him. Obviously,
Yeah.
you don't forget about Patrick Mahomes, but he does turn 30 in like a week, maybe. I think it's.
Yep.
I just looked it up. I already forgot, but his birthday is mid-September. Everyone else on my list was under 30. But like you said, I mean, he hasn't had any like major injuries, and even the injuries where it's supposed to be like a high ankle sprain, you're like, all right, well, he's done. They go into
Yep.
halftime, he comes back out and he's playing. So he's
He's
a
he's got
warrior.
he's got that LeBron James factor of even if you're down by 21 points, you don't feel like you're out of the game.
That's true.
Which is just they're just until the clock hits zero, and there's no panic in the guy. He's sitting on the sidelines, cool as a cucumber. It doesn't matter what's going on. So, Burrow would have been my sixth. The only reason I put Burrow a little bit lower is I just don't love the fact that Burrow starts out cold every single year and puts his team in a hole.
That's
That's my
true.
only knock.
Yeah.
That's my big knock on Burrow. And if he didn't have Jamar Chase, these great wide receivers, and he had a different wide receiver crew, it might look a little different. So, but that's my only knock on Burrow. So, but all right. Well, anything you want to add before we wrap up on this episode?
I think we nailed it.
All
I
right.
think we're good.
Cool. All right, guys. We'll have a wonderful weekend watching actually NFL football week too, and college as well. Until next week, we'll talk to you guys soon.